Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode, the third episode of Hunter Art Lab. I'm your host, Hunter, or aka JM Hunter, or aka Indie Hunter, DIY Hunter, or you can just call me Hunter. Basically, what we're going to do today, as promised, is we're going to actually get into a ballpoint pen drawing demo. So what I'm going to do is basically show you a few of the different pens that I use and some of the techniques and just some of the things that I do with ballpoint pen. Why are we doing ballpoint pen? Besides the fact that it's an awesome art material to use, a tool that I've recently fallen back in love with, but the call to action that we talked about in last episode, yesterday's episode, is going to revolve around utilizing this ballpoint pen. Essentially, what I want you to do is to go ahead and give yourself permission again to explore a medium, a tool, a material, and just basically doodle, draw, sketch, and just play around with a pen. An unassuming tool, unassuming tool that most people take for granted. Okay, so let's get to it. So basically, what I'm going to do is start with just few different lines. Oh, and why are we going with an index card? We're going to use an index card because it's a small surface area. So if you're just kind of still a little gun shy of jumping into this creative type of endeavor, or giving yourself permission again to be creative, then let's start small. Let's go and start with an entry type of deal. So basically, what I would like to see you all do is basically fill up a whole card or small surface, which is doodles and sketches and lines. Now, if you really get the passion and you want to draw something, totally cool, fine with me. And then remember that to go ahead and you can either tag me at JM underscore indie underscore hunter on Instagram, or you can just hashtag ballpoint pen method, and then that way I can take a look and see what you're doing. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now, what I've got is several different ballpoint pens of different varieties, different styles, and right now we got the click right here. So basically, we're just going to throw a bunch of different lines on it. Why do I like ballpoint pens so much? Is because you can lighten the pressure and get a lot of tonality and a lot of textures and a lot of lines that you can pull off with a ballpoint pen, just like a pencil. The only exception is that you can't erase. So why are we jumping in the deep end when it comes to a ballpoint pen as opposed to using a pencil? It's because I don't want you to erase. I don't want you to be worried about perfection. Remember that thing that we were chasing unicorns and talking about perfection? Here we're going to accept the fact that we're going to make mistakes and that whatever lines we put down on here are going to be permanent, and that's okay. So once again, with the clicking one right here, this is called a this is a it says click click. It might be Pentel, I'm not sure, but the click 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 click. You know what I'm trying to say. I found automatically is kind of like how I use it. I end up putting thicker, darker lines right away. So if I want to lighten the load a little bit, like basically build up to a darker texture, I've got to ease back on the pen handle and less pressure. I have a very heavy hand. But even with that, you can see that it's still kind of thick, harsh lines. So this will still do the job if you want it to. But let's go ahead and try a different pen. Here is the Pentel Wow, which is also clickable. Okay, so remember when you get these pens, um, they have a little ball, plastic ball, wax ball you have to peel off. Otherwise, you'll be trying to draw and sketch and write and thinking that it's broken or dried out already, and what's not. It just has a seal to keep the ink fresh. So make sure you peel that off. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and attempt to pull off some tones with this and some lines. I feel like there's a little bit better flow with this one. I'm still laying down a little bit darker lines than I would like to, but overall, and then you notice that when I come down with the stroke, it's a lot darker. Between the weight of my hand, the pressure I'm applying, as well as gravity, I'm getting a darker stroke out of it. But when I go up, oh, I just made a lighter of myself. So, and sometimes it takes finding the right pressure to apply. There we go. I can lighten it a little bit better when I go up. Now, also one thing to keep in mind is that the speed of flow. What I mean by the speed of flow is that a lot of times whenever we would use fine liners with my students, they would automatically think that the pens were dried out and not working, and we just cracked open the case. So what was happening was that they were going so fast with their lines that they weren't giving the ink any chance to flow and come out. So it would just come out barely, or it would look like it was a dry stroke. So we go from the clickable pens to going with the more crystal jewel case ones. Right here we have the Papermate Inkjoy. Let's go ahead and test this out and see what we get as far as line quality goes. Not just line quality, but again, I'm trying to build up tonality. What I mean by that is I want it to build up like my tones from light to dark. And this has a triangular flat. Each side, there's 3 sides that are flat. So when you're gripping it, definitely feels a little bit different. So when I hold back on it, there we go. I am not getting as much ink out, which is okay because I kind of want to use this as just a light shading technique. And you can even see some of the texture from the index card. And these are just regular index cards with a blank side and a line side. I mostly prefer to use blank both sides index cards, but again, this is all about just getting started and just using what you have and not really striving for perfection or worrying about what you're using. So right away, as opposed to the clickables, I can go up and down if I wanted to, and I'm already getting a nice variety of tones. Or gradients if you're used to the digital creation of art. So this might not be as exciting as swatching with colors, with markers and all that though, but you got to test out your tools and just kind of see what they can do. Oh yeah, now once the ink gets flowing on this one, there's some beautiful rendering that can happen right here. Let me go ahead and hold that up. Come on, autofocus. So right here. There we go. Okay. So far the Papermate Inkjoy, one I definitely recommend as far as building up some tonality, and it's got a really sturdy grip if you want to, 3 sides. So if you're doing the tripod grip where you have 1 finger, 2 fingers, and the thumb, and you're that way so you're not gripping it like a second grader, because that's how I normally grip my tools, is like a second grader or a monkey grip. But if you want to ease up so you can vary the pressure that you're applying. We're going to move on to another jeweled crystal type of ballpoint pen, and this is literally the Bic crystal pen. So there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and throw some lines down on this one, and we are going to do a drawing today. Now this is not going to be a draw with me type of deal. I'm just going to draw and doodle some things because I don't want to. Oh, look at that. There's still some of that wax, that seal on here. That's what I was talking about. Okay. Right away, I'm already getting a nice tone, a nice light set of lines. And that's just barely letting the pen glide. Reason being why I'm so concerned about making sure I can pull off different lightness is because when I am laying out a sketch and I do want to do a piece of artwork and I want to add a little bit of focus to it. It's nice to know that I can approach it like as if it was a pencil and I'm sketching very light and laying out my work, and then I can go back in and add a darker set of lines like that. You know what I mean? So let's go from dark to light now. I'm supposed to go light to dark, but I like going from dark to light sometimes. From that darkness to the light. Okay, so this one's really cool. I do enjoy these ones. So now this is not to say that none of these pens, like some of these pens are better than the other ones. What the deal is with these pens is that they each serve a different purpose, and we're going to get to that here soon. All right, we are moving to the last three pens. We've already gone over so the last two pens are going to be your standard, unassuming ballpoint pens. We've got a Bic round stick pen, and then we've got a regular Papermate 1.0, I guess millimeters. I don't know, meters. I don't know. I don't math. That's why I'm an artist. Let's go ahead and stick with the Papermate and see what happens. So the ink is taking a little bit to get out here. Is it just dry? Remember what I told you? Nope, we got some ink. Okay, here we go. Now I just kind of connected from the other one just to see if there was a big difference. And I find that these more unassuming, the basic average ballpoint pen that you'll pick up, that you can pick up for very cheap, tends to give me the best variation when it comes to making tones. I'll show you some artwork and comics that I've been working on where I just went ahead and went with it for ballpoint pens. We're going to switch now to the actual Bic round. Autofocus takes a while. We'll just call that user error because it probably is. Okay, now this is my favorite blue inking pen to actually sketch with. So if I wanted to do like a rock or a ball, this is a flat ball. It's almost like I'm barely touching the paper. And then to build up your layers, you can use good old-fashioned cross-hatching as well as applying pressure when you want it darker. So, oh man, people always message me when I'm recording for some reason, no matter what I turn off. So it gets through. All right, so this ballpoint pen, I think, was what we're going to roll with at first. But let's talk about the differences real quick and why they each have their strengths. This one is good for, these type of pens are good for laying out lighter lines and when you want to just initially lay out and sketch and then build your tones from light to dark. These ones that put down more opaque ink faster and thicker are great when you want to do scribble doodles. You know what I mean? So scribble doodles is whenever you take like almost like a string and you start to sketch out a portrait maybe, or yeah. So let's just say I'm going to do an eye right here, for example. And this is truly an exercise where you're like, okay, we're not going to sweat how it looks. We're just going to draw and have fun. One of my favorite things and what fuels me as an artist is making something out of a mess. Just being messy, basically, and then later on kind of working my way out of a corner. So now you can also choke up on it if you want to. Because I enjoy working very fast. Fast, loose, and aggressive. Not because it's some masculine type of thing or anything like that. That's just because I generally am trying to exercise a lot of energy, or I'm thinking through stuff and going through stuff, and I just basically treat it like a workout. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of helps. It's just art therapy for me. So now less lines makes a lighter tone, obviously. Oh gosh. All right, quit bugging me. So real quick, let me go ahead and I'm not editing. I'm not at the editing stage on my YouTube channel yet, so so you're gonna have to bear with me, warts and all. So when people ask me if I can talk, it's like, nope, I can't talk right now. I'm talking to my people on YouTube, on the Hunter Art Lab. So, anyways, just again, you know, now it might look like garbage right now, but when you do a whole piece, oh my god, wow, when you do a whole piece, it looks really nice when you start putting it all together and everything like that. So, okay, let's go ahead and get to an actual doodle. Before that, let me show you some work that I've actually done that's completed that I've done with ballpoint pens, as well as dry erase markers, as promised from the last episode. So, I was going through imposter syndrome, big time, and really stuck. And I got thesis to work towards, a MFA in comics thesis, and this is my career. This is my master's and everything I'm working on, and we have deadlines and we have comics pages that we had and stories we have to turn in, and I could not crack the layout and pages of the stories that I want. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe it was the subject material was a little more serious, and so that was blocking me. It could be anything, the artist block. You know how it just kicks in at the wrong time, and that's basically what was happening to me. So what I ended up doing was coming across a book by Emil Ferris, and I watched how she beautifully rendered her pages with ballpoint pens and things of that nature, and just she's so much more cleaner and meticulous and tighter than what I do. But I mean, it just brought me back to a memory of how I used to sketch in high school with the ballpoint pen. And I would just try drawing like this big, huge, long, weird, head shaped noggin dude with a skinny head but really long head, big old cranium, and just playing around with tones and all that. And then I realized, oh yeah, this is almost like sketching. But then I went, for some reason I just never came back to it. Probably because I didn't think you could do serious art or serious comics with it. Needless to say, I was wrong. Okay, so completely wrong. And years later, decades later, I come across this book. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks pretty tight. That's some stuff I wouldn't mind going back to. And so I just went ahead and did it because you know what? It helped me crack the story I was working on. And then I fell in love with it so much that I just started adapting influences from Linda Berry, who does Making Comics and Syllabus. Check her out if you haven't. I'll put some links in there. And then Emil Ferris. So for my thesis, I was dealing with some heavy, systematic racism, cultural type of things. And so just being, black and Asian and Native American and whatnot. So I felt like, why not go and put it with the pen, ballpoint pen and markers and whiteout and stuff like that, and just have fun with it, kind of like a DIY punk, bring back the metal and everything like that. So this must be peak hours because everybody and their mother is bugging me right now. Even my phone's telling me I have to drink water. But so yeah, tonality. Okay, just building up textures and tonality. This is borderline scribble. You know what I mean? So it's a combination of both those techniques I was showing you. This is scribble. Look at the scribble side profile portrait I did, and then I just took dry erase markers and played with a couple of color palettes, threw them on there, and right here went back in with the white gel pen, which is almost like a ballpoint pen, but it was white opaque ink, and kind of just went in there and scribbled and all that kind of stuff like that. Hope I'm not going too fast. This is upside down. Okay, so now we got another one. Again, just playing around with this rawness and roughness of a ballpoint pen. I mean, look at the mood that I was able to pull off right here. This is from photo reference, obviously. I took some selfies and everything like that. No duck lips at all, so it's just all about the eyes right here. And basically just building up tonality. I could push this even more with tonality if I wanted to, if I really wanted to get in there and get really minute with the strokes and pens and take my time. For those of you that like to work at a slower pace, you'll probably be able to build up some beautiful textures as long as you just practice your single hatching, your cross hatching, and things of that nature. For those of us that like to work fast, I hate to say fast and furious, but I mean, it's true though. Our concern is getting it down, getting the emotion down, and then but I could always go back in here and refine it if I wanted to. I don't. What's done is done. But I love working on the yellow legal pad as well. I've been telling a lot of my comics with that. So yeah, if you got a ballpoint pen and you've got a notebook paper, just go start sketching. If you got a piece of mail, back in the day when they actually, I'm dating myself right now. When we had handset phones, people would just sit there on the phone and doodle and pattern and stuff like that. And that's what they deal with on a piece of mail or a piece of paper or a Post-it. Start with a Post-it. If you're very intimidated by this exercise, start with a Post-it if you have to, okay? A little square Post-it and then start right there and then work your way up to bigger things. Eventually, you might want to tackle something what's called an epic doodle. But for that, I like prefer to use regular fine liners and pencils. But still, ballpoint pen on an epic doodle, that'd be pretty tight. That'd be pretty impressive. Take you a while, but be pretty impressive. So let's talk about composition, and I mean the composition book. Something as simple as this, if you're stuck like back when we used to be in the classroom, times are changing. How many of you just kind of in the margins just sketched and doodled and things like that? So taking it back to old school, taking it back to basics and foundational things, and just little confidence builders. So grab your ballpoint pen and go for it. Okay, so there's another thing that, in all full disclosure, there's something else that I have been dodging, that I have been fearful. When I talk about that art fear, there's this challenge called Mermaid. Hashtag Mermaid. Not mermaid, but mermaid. So for the month of May. We're already in the middle of month of May, and it's almost over, and I haven't started day one of this challenge. It's a 30-day challenge where every day of the month of May, you draw a mermaid or a merman or a mer creature, some type of themed that has to do with, mer people or mermaid creatures. And I'm not the most finesse artist, as you can tell. I'm more of the rougher, more of the heavy-handed type of deal, and I was intimidated because there's so many good artists that are doing this challenge who have grace with their color palette, their work, their lines, their cartooning is really, really, it's really cute, but also a lot of character to it. Just stuff that makes me drool. Just like I kind of get a little bit of envious of how they're able to pull these things off and everything like that. And then they're getting to play with all these different tools and all that though. So once again, I was waiting for everything to have the perfect situation, the perfect tools, the perfect paper, and I still have that type of mentality. It's something that I'm on a day-to-day basis. I have to fight. Otherwise, I never get anything done. And so with these 30-day challenges, I don't know if I've ever completed a 30-day challenge, Inktober, whatever. I get a lot of great ideas from them, and then I'm able to pull those ideas and turn them into stories and comics and do them into a regular, bigger project later on. But just doing the 30-day challenge, sometimes it's just life gets in the way and all that. So I like to dabble with them at least and still get something done, with them and just be inspired by it. So this mermaid challenge is going to be pretty intimidating, just because you automatically think about flowing type of figures, forms, and lines, and and shapes, and I'm more used to the rough abstract type of things. So I figure it is time to put my mermaid. That's not going to sound right. Let's not say that. Put my money where my mouth is, okay, and sketch out a mermaid. Let's just doodle one of these quick ballpoint pen messy doodle mermaids. I kind of knew that if I were to take on this challenge, I would be the person that would be doing ugly mermaids if I did this challenge. So let's go ahead and embrace the ugliness of Hunter's Mermaids, and let's just go ahead and pull that off. So with that being said, there are several different types of prompts that are out there. There's the official mermaid prompt, that you can find mermaid 20 hashtag mermaid 2020, and then there's some other ones that were cool. Some even involved dice. I just got a Dungeons and Dragons kit, a starter kit for me and my son to start learning, because I used to D&D way back in the day. But it was just something for me and him to bond with while we're for him to read more, to encourage him to read and use his imagination more. But so I've got my 6-sided dice right here. I'm gonna pull up the prompt list, okay? Okay, so I can't see. There we go. So we've got what's called the creature feature hashtag mermaid, and this is from Zesty Does Things and Fabugu, I think, or you can just locate it by hashtag creature feature. I am tripping over my own words. So the thing is to pick the day, and then you roll a 6-sided dice, and then there's a list of 6-sided dice options, and then if you even include an element. So if you pick an element, then you have another list of which element you can pick from. And then they also have human, mammals, or your choice. So today is the 15th, I think. And Medusa jellyfish. Wow. That sounds like it's already up my alley. If it's horror based or mythological based, I'm probably going to gravitate towards it. So today we're going to do Medusa jellyfish. Now, what type of attributes, what type of form is that going to take? Well, this is where I roll that 6-sided dice. Let's roll that 6-sided dice. I got a 4. So that means mammal. They want the Medusa jellyfish in the form of a mammal. And then I guess from there it's my choice. I don't like that roll. That roll is kind of messed up. Let's just roll again. That's a 1. Oh, human. Okay, that works for me. So yeah, we got a Medusa jellyfish and a human. And then We're just gonna go for it, I guess. So jellyfish feels like it goes complete with the gorgon, which is a Medusa, with the tentacles and with the snakes. So I'm gonna sketch out. I'm gonna attempt to do that. I guess I could be smart and actually look up what a Medusa jellyfish looks like, but I don't know. No one's ever accused me of being too smart, so let's just go ahead and I'll do a quick Google search. But I want to just get to drawing. I'm very impatient. That's something that we're gonna have to learn together as far as patience goes. All right, so we got some images, and I've got the gist of what a jellyfish looks like, a Medusa jellyfish looks like, and they look like jellyfish. So what's the deal here? Why are they called Medusa? I have no idea. Okay, some of you that are more ocean, with oceanography and biological savvy biology savvy can hit me up and let me know in the comment section what the deal is with the Medusa jellyfish. But we're gonna go ahead and just get started. So right now we got the mermaid. My flow of action is gonna be right here. Okay, so right away I want to come right here. We've got an S right here, but what I'm going to be utilizing is what's called foreshortening, and that means is that the image is coming out at you. There's parts of the image that are coming closer to the camera, to us, the viewer, and then it recedes and gets smaller as you go back. But not only that, body line action wise, we also have the S shape. The S shape and C shapes tend to be used quite often when it comes to drawing the figure because they replicate the spine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll sketch out the skull right here. And then we're going to just basically 3D it, structure it to where as this person goes back further, the body shapes are going to go smaller. And then from right here, I've got the rib cage, the torso, and then the hips would be right here. But she's a fish. Oh wait, no, she's a jellyfish. Okay, so look at these other lines I already had going here. Meaning the barbs can go right here. This looks more like a squid. Okay, let's get the arms in and the hands. Am I supposed to give her claws? Is that okay? Can I give her claws? We're gonna give her claws. A shoulder, bicep. It's a little too buff, maybe. Well, she's a swimmer. Swimmers are buff, right? And we're gonna have to get the Medusa component in there somehow, right? And we'll get that. Let's give her some elf ears. There's a term for like pointed elf ears, like Spock ears. I don't know what it is, but I just came across it when I was doing research. I lost a pen. It's a good thing I don't plan on using that. So right now I'm already darkening my outer contour. So right here is where we're going to get the Gorgon aspect of things, which is where all my snakes are going to be. Because the character is coming out like this at us, the snake's going to be flowing back. As much as I would like to have a snake come forward, because that would be kind of dynamic. And we're going to give this person a more of a pronounced brow. You know what? I might even make snakes. There we go. Let's just do snakes on the brow. You ever had brow snakes before? I haven't. Okay. Get the nose in there. I'm going to give her... I could give her fangs, and maybe I will later on if I redraw this, but I want to give the features. Thicker lips. I want this character to be... I don't know, not just Greek, but more maybe more Afrocentric, more black, just because there's such a shortage of black characters and multicultural characters. Okay, let's go right here. Okay, so I've got my character more or less laid out, right? Now I can start going in and either I can start doing that tonality thing where we build it up, or I could just scribble this all and just doodle it until I get what I want. I think we're just gonna scribble and doodle. And remember, if you want less pressure to pull back on the drawing or writing instrument, especially if you have a heavy hand. And you know what? Doing it this way also makes me think of some of the translucent attributes of a jellyfish. So maybe this character is I don't like the eyes. We're gonna darken them because they're too deep. Let's just say they're very deep. But maybe the translucent attributes are apparent within the creature's skin as well. So and always consider that when things are on the bottom, they might be heavier because there's more weight coming down. So you would maybe make the line bolder and darker, and then we're gonna have a highlight right here. Let's do some fins. How about some fins? And if I'm not completely thrilled with this character when I'm done, at least the concept and the idea is down there, and I could come back to it later on and create with a whole different set of mediums if I want to later on. The idea is down there, the thumbnail. We have the recipe basically. We can always make another dish later on. But at least like I said, at least your concepts and ideas are down. They're out. I can't tell you how many times I've been influenced by a scrap of paper that I just came back to later on and realized I had sketched something on there, or subconsciously, or there was a line or a word on there, and then I sat down with that piece of paper or that image and started creating a whole story, epic story, out of it. Now on the hair on the snakes, we're gonna go darker. Now, while we might have these main tendrils of hair or snakes, you have to remember to fill in the backs with some smaller ones just to make sure there's a full head of hair or texture here. And there is light when it comes to hair and objects because these are still three-dimensional, things. These are still almost like limbs in a way. So I could lighten up as I go right here to say that there's a glare coming from the surface world. So for all you messy artists out there, messy people out there that um that don't find that you have a lot of graceful lines or clean type of line work or color, don't worry, you came to the right channel because that's how I roll too. We are giving ourselves permission to create art, no matter what the form, what the technique, in whatever manner we so choose. So there needs to be a little bit more flow as it's getting a little bit predictable, I guess you could say. And I'm losing my snake forms. So that's kind of okay. I kind of wanted them to look like dreads too. That's kind of why I'm doing that, making decisions on the fly. All right. Again, I want the hips to be almost apparent, but then, it is a mermaid, so let's go and pull off some of that shading we were talking about earlier. If you're like me, you just like don't want to see a blank canvas or a blank page or paper. It just bugs you. It just makes you stop wanting to create. So let's start putting stuff down on it, filling up lines. So we can do it like a pencil, I guess, if you want to, if you want to emulate the flow of the lines right here. But you're not going to get as much ink. It's going to be more of a dry brush technique. And that could take a long time to build out. Of course, you can rotate the paper too. If I do that, I'll knock every camera and recording device I have on here right now. Still in the process of figuring out the setup and flow. So, and again, I remember I said that the lower areas might be darker. And there needs to be some darkness in here too. Darkness. I can hear my daughter. Can you hear my daughter? Just thumping. So again with the jellyfish, tendrils. Now somebody that can use oils or markers that take their time is probably going to make something like this way nicer, way BA. You know what BA stands for, right? We're going to keep this PG-13. It stands for Bodacious Archery. Because they're on point. Dad jokes. Sorry. Alright, so just right there, y'all, I got a concept already down, This right here has a story already to it. Yeah, I can already, my wheels are already spinning, of what kind of story this could be in there. Oh wait, let's make this underwater. Let's add a few bubbles, I mean, it's a sketch, so. I'm also going to be covering different products when it comes to different drawing, painting, coloring mediums, tools, as well as paper. I love paper, so I've got a whole bunch of sketchbooks and art subscription boxes that we're going to unbox and check out. So just look for that to happen soon. As always, if you've got suggestions or things that you would like to hear me talk about or see from me, just throw that in the comments section down below. And if you want to keep up with what's going on this channel, the Hunter Art Lab, then you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, ring my bell, notifications. That way you'll be notified when I post. Right now, currently, it's almost a daily schedule. Eventually, I might go back to doing weekly as I prepare more intensive type of videos, and subject matter. But right now, let's just get some stuff down, some lines. Let's just get to know each other. So with that being said, we've got a concept, got a sketch. I did my first mermaid piece. Look at that. It only took me like 15 days, but I did one. It's right here. Okay. Sure, it's in ballpoint pen. Sure, it's on notebook paper. Sure, it's a little messy and squiggly and raw and rough. But I mean, I did it. It's there. I could always come back to it later on. So, again, let's talk about this call to action on your Instagram, on your Twitter, whatever it is that you like to use and post images of. My call to action to you is to go ahead and bust out any type of ballpoint pen or permanent type of inking thing. Let's jump in the deep end of this, not use a pencil right now. Let's use a ballpoint pen and just sketch, doodle, fill up a card, okay? Fill up a card, fill up a page, a notebook page, fill up a piece of mail on the back, some type of spam mail, not your computer one, but the junk mail as they call it in the analog world. And just sketch, doodle, do your name, use some letters, do a bunch of people, just have fun. Wherever the mind wanders and whatever you're dealing with, just give yourself some time to breathe and lay down some lines, swirls, squigglies, things like that, and just patterns, flowers. I don't care if you want to draw butterflies, whatever it is that you want to do. And remember to hashtag the ballpoint pen method. Let's take out the. We don't need a the. That's just too long. Ballpoint pen method, and I will do a search later on to see what you've done. So ballpoint pen method. We're gonna rock with that hashtag all week, and I'm gonna be looking for you on Instagram. I'm gonna be looking for you on Twitter. I'm gonna be looking for you, in general, wherever it may be. If you want, throw it in the comment section. I'm okay with you linking to your work in there. I don't consider it spam. I love to see what you're doing here. So. Okay, so this is it for the Hunter Art Lab episode. We going to move on with maybe in the future we'll be going over some different sketchbook materials. Which sketchbook can hold up to the markers the best? Which gray tone markers are a good one to go with? And you know what? I might sketch some more mermaids, some ugly mermaids. Thank you.